Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player. Can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hall approached her to help her.
Immediately, first, look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team.
The whole WNBA is in shock when Sophie Cunningham suffered a severe knee injury. Sophie's family is incensed about Bria Hartley's abrupt collision with her. You absolutely need to keep an eye out for Bria Hartley, since she is an extremely filthy player. Sophie is experiencing what seems to be the same nightmare that sidelined Caitlyn Clark, and fans simply cannot stand to watch this happen once more. On the replay, you can really see Hartley enter right here. In all honesty, the Indiana Fever are now experiencing a season worthy of a horror film. Don't bother getting popcorn. You practically need therapy sessions just to sit through their games. This season is already being referred to as hell by some. To be honest, that's probably just being courteous. It seems like this team comes up with a new way to make themselves seem bad every single week. And here's the thing. The WNBA does nothing but browse Instagram like a babysitter as the whole house burns down around them.
And Hartley just kind of falls
and she
crushes
in on the knee of Sophie right here.
She went down.
Just sums up everything. Like, we weren't going to win this game if Sophie Cunningham was healthy. This isn't like, oh, we lost because of a Sophie Cunningham injury. We were down 17 points when she got injured. This happens.
And right now, we've truly reached our lowest point. In the open sunlight, Sophie Cunningham's knee was completely damaged. The entire event had the feel of a demolition derby rather than a basketball game. To be honest, this was more than a little bruising or ankle ailment. No, this was Sophie on the ground sobbing and holding onto her leg after Bria Hartley struck her knee as if she were attempting to sack a quarterback. Guys, it's so heartwarming to watch.
And it looked like Stephanie White is extremely emotional after this hard-fought game. Sophie Cunningham family is
And to make matters worse, the Fever were already down by 17 points at the time of the incident. I'm talking about 17. They were already being treated as a JV team in the field. Then their hardest player, who has genuinely shown some backbone, is eliminated. I just don't know what other way to describe this season than that.
I'm hella mad. Hartley need to be suspended on a major level completely. Probably at this point, she's more.
Sophie's family really went online and set the league on fire because the scene was so awful. Social media was inundated with fans criticizing the WNBA for allowing this whole circus to operate without any true regulations. People were wondering how it was possible for professional league officials to act like they were refereeing a casual game at the YMCA while top players were dropping like flies every week. Lindsay, Sophie's sister, told the league straight out that they should start safeguarding the athletes instead of caring about finding players for comments.
They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie, and that's exactly what they did, was hurt Sophie, and I'm hella mad.
Sophie's family really went online and set the league on fire because the scene was so awful. Social media was inundated with fans criticizing the WNBA for allowing this whole circus to operate without any true regulations. People were wondering how it was possible for professional league officials to act like they were refereeing a casual game at the YMCA while top players were dropping like flies every week. Lindsay, Sophie's sister, told the league straight out that they should start safeguarding the athletes instead of caring about finding players for comments.
Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on finding players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athlete.
And here's the icing on the cake. Even Sophie had experienced injuries before the season. Not at all. In fact, she has had 2 serious injuries this year. And you know what? Both of them were against the Connecticut Sun. Both times. That simply ceases to be a coincidence at some point and begins to resemble a pattern, doesn't it? The basketball gods themselves seem to be pointing directly at the Fever and declaring, "Yeah, you guys, you're cursed." Sophie had been the best mid-season addition of the Fever, so the family's wrath makes perfect reason.
His mother, Paula Hartley, is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing me.
Additionally, Sophie wasn't only a player in the rotation. She was defense. She was intense. When no one else on the roster would even attempt to defend Caitlyn Clark, it was she who was promoting her. And all of that is simply gone today. However, this is where things truly start to go wrong. In case you believed Sophie's injury was merely a regrettable mishap, let's discuss Bria Hartley, the WNBA's very own villain of the year. I mean, if the league had trading cards, Hartley's card would surely come with a warning label.
It's a patella injury. Normally, people will hold higher in their knee if it's a knee ligament injury. It looks like she might have either broke.
Fans literally foresaw this kind of stuff from her because of how horrible her reputation is. This is by no means an isolated instance. It's a complete anarchy highlight reel. She grabbed Angel Reese by her hair earlier this year as if it were WWE SmackDown. She also grabbed Becca Allen by the head and threw her to the ground a few days prior to Sophie's demise. Numerous cheap shots and multiple ejections. She seems to be putting out a CV for the award for worst player alive.
Sophie did not deserve any of that happened to her today, and it is very...
Nor are critics merely disparaging. They blatantly claim that Hartley aggressively pursues athletes and goes out of her way to ruin their careers. And could we really claim that they are mistaken about it in light of what we just witnessed happen to Sophie? After coming into physical touch with a player who has a reputation for being dirty than a petrol station lavatory, Sophie Cunningham's knee blows up. How many coincidences, really, must occur before we simply accept it as what it is? She has already been named the league's dirtiest player by sports commentators, ranking her right up there with Deja Carrington. Additionally, fans are adamant that Sophie was singled out. Not even her family is dancing around it. They stated bluntly that Hartley's play is out of control.
Sophie Cunningham out for the year. How can this team continue to survive? We bring in Ari McDonald because of injuries, and who would have thought? Caitlyn Clark would be out most of the year. Sophie Cunningham will have a season.
Now, let's just halt and ask the obvious question here. In all of this, where in the world is the WNBA? The suspensions are where? Where is the responsibility? Protecting the remaining players is the one thing you must do when your league is losing such a large number of stars. Rather, there is a situation where individuals are genuinely demanding a civil rights inquiry into officiating culture. Consider that. An examination into civil rights in a basketball league. That's how utterly absurd this has become. Fans aren't only angry, they are utterly repulsed. They witness a league where dirty players run amok, dangerous plays are simply dismissed, and referees couldn't even keep an eye on a church league game if their lives depended on it.
I told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know.
And for that reason, Sophie's injury is far more serious than just another player suffering a setback. You know, it's not just about her. The issue is that the WNBA has essentially produced an atmosphere in which this was unavoidable. A player with H. Hartley's rap sheet is allowed to continue playing there week after week without facing any serious consequences. Sophie Cunningham, the only one who is prepared to fight for Caitlyn Clark and truly make the fever more intense, ends up sobbing on the hardwood as the referees just look off into space. And the Fever were already behind by 17 points when all of this occurred. This team is already demonstrating once more how opposed they are to playing quality basketball.
She is a dirty, dirty player. She pulled Angel Reese out of air by her ponytail. Angel Reese is ready to fight.
These referees are complete morons, to be honest. Look, while the box score may indicate some good numbers, they were by no means dominant. Furthermore, solid just isn't enough when your squad is as bad as this, isn't it? Even though Natasha Howard contributed 18 points and 9 rebounds, it was insufficient. Then came Lexi Hall, who finished the game with a crucial rebound and a massive dagger three-pointer. This sounds good, but you have to remember that she was offensively inconspicuous for the other 90% of the game. Ultimately, the game itself revealed the truth. Even though the box score appears respectable, the choice was essentially between Mitchell and bust. Thus, the final overtime score of 9,993 essentially provides all the information you require. Although it appears in the win column, does anyone genuinely believe they won that match? One of the league's weaker clubs was nearly defeated by the Fever. They lost Sophie Cunningham in the process and need more time to complete the task. Folks, that isn't a victory. When a warning label is included with the receipt, it's a great deal. Even though the team made it through the night, it feels like something much more significant died on the floor.
I don't know if it's her knee. I don't know if it's her Achilles, the way she was kind of dragging her foot. I don't know. But Bria Hartley has had dirty plays all season. But you got to know who we're talking about.
Mitchell, the true specter looming over this entire disaster, is still Caitlyn Clark, even if everyone was applauding. With only 12 or 13 games played this season, this so-called league savior has missed more than 75% of the season. Just take a moment to consider that. The most anticipated rookie in WNBA history. On each billboard, the visage was plastered. The player networks are swooning uncontrollably. She hasn't even spent much time on the court. Stephanie White attempts to look all optimistic, implying she might return before the season finishes. However, who still holds that belief today? The question isn't whether she can come back, it's whether she should.
Reality, because she is somebody's daughter, she is somebody's sister, and this is just unfortunate. And those of you who don't think a civil rights investigation need to be brought upon this league is tripping. This civil rights...
Mitchell, the true specter looming over this entire disaster, is still Caitlyn Clark, even if everyone was applauding. With only 12 or 13 games played this season, this so-called league savior has missed more than 75% of the season. Just take a moment to consider that. The most anticipated rookie in WNBA history. On each billboard, the visage was plastered. The player networks are swooning uncontrollably. She hasn't even spent much time on the court. Stephanie White attempts to look all optimistic, implying she might return before the season finishes. However, who still holds that belief today? The question isn't whether she can come back,